Hello friends, in this video I'm gonna discuss Phylum Coelentrata. Coelentrata is also known as Cnidaria, or the organisms which are coelentrates are also known as cnidarians. The study of the coelentrates is known as the cnidology. They are mostly marine, example Hydra, which is freshwater coelentrate. That is, they are mostly marine organisms except the Hydra, which is found in fresh water. They have the outer epidermis, then mesoglea, then inner gastrodermis. That is, they have 3 layers of the body. Outer is the epidermis, inner is the mesoglea, and outer is the epidermis, middle is the mesoglea, and the inner is the gastrodermis. The cnidoblasts are the stinging cells which are present in the epidermis. The outer epidermis has some stinging extensions known as the cnidoblast. Now you can easily correlate with the name Cnidaria. They have a gastrovascular cavity or coelentron or archentron. The cavity of the coelentrates is known as gastrovascular cavity or coelentron or archentron. These names are very important regarding the NEET point of view, so you must know all the 3 names of the cavity. They have a mouth and a blind sac plan. They have no anus. Metagenesis. They show metagenesis, that is alteration of generations. Metagenesis is the process of the alteration of the generations by the means of sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. Example is Obelia. Obelia is an example of the NCERT, which shows the metagenesis, which is further classified into coelentrates. Now, what is the definition of the metagenesis? Those coelentrates or the cnidarians which exist in both polyp and medusoid forms exhibit alteration of the generation. And the process of the alteration of the generation is known as the metagenesis. Coelentrates exist both in the polyp and the medusa forms. Polyp and the medusoid forms are the forms of the zooids. That is, what are the firstly let us understand what are the zooids. Zooids are the animals arising from another animal by budding or division. Polyp and medusa are the type of the zooids. Okay? Polyp when converts to the medusa or when alters to the medusa, it alters asexually. But when the medusa alters to polyp, this process occurs by the sexual reproduction. So what is the metagenesis? Metagenesis is the alteration of the generations. What is the example? Obelia. So, the coelentrates or the cnidarians which exist both in the polyp and the medusoid forms exhibit alteration of the generation, that is metagenesis. Polyp converts to the medusa asexually and medusa converts to the polyp sexually. Now, let us move further on the forms of the coelentroids. As we discussed, coelentrates are of 2 types, polyps and the medusa. Polyps are cylindrical in shape. They are usually fixed at a place. They may be solitary or colonial. They are cylindrical, they are usually fixed, and they may be solitary or colonial. Now, coming to the medusa. Medusa are usually umbrella-like. They are free-swimming, while we know polyps were usually fixed. Now, the medusa are usually or always solitary. That is, what does solitary means? Solitary means they are always present in a single form, whereas the colonial means they are present in the colonies. The polyps may be solitary or colonial, but the medusa are always solitary. That is, they are present always in singly. Now the examples. Now the examples of the coelentrates are jellyfish. Jellyfish, that is Aurelia. It belongs to Scyphozoa, which is the class of coelentrates. This is an example from the NCERT. This is a very important example according to the NEET point of view. So you must know both the names of this fish. One is the jellyfish and other is the Aurelia. And to which class of coelentrate it belongs? It belongs to Scyphozoa. Nature. They are radial in symmetry. They are diploblastic in nature. They have tissue level of organization. Next, the next point is about the hypnotoxin. Hypnotoxin is a type of toxin which is released when a nidoblast discharges a long tube that may coil around the prey and inject toxin called the hypnotoxin that paralyzes the insect. So, a nidoblast gives out long thread tube which coil around prey, releases hypnotoxin, which is very important MCQ, which paralyzes the insect. So you can easily memorize according to this flow chart. It will be very easy for you to remember what is the process of the hypnotoxin release. Nidoblast release a long thread-like tube which coil around the prey, which releases or inject the hypnotoxin to the prey, which paralyzes the insect further. Now, the next point is nerve cells or the sensory cells may heap up to form the sense organs. That is, nerve cells are now. This shows nerve cells are present in them. In fact, even sense organs can be found in them, which are known as the statocyst or tentaculocyst. Both pseudopodia and flagella are the nutritive cells of the coelentrates. That is, both pseudopodia and flagella are present. The upper half or the distal part is the testes, and the lower half or the proximal part of the body of the coelentrates is ovary. Testes is the male reproductive part and ovaries is the female reproductive part. So it is clear that the upper part is the male reproductive part, that is testes, and the lower half or the proximal part is the female reproductive organ, that is ovary. The testes and gonads are formed from the interstitial cells. Tentacles are present for the locomotion, that is, they can also move. As we have read earlier, the polyps are usually fixed, but the medusa can be moved. They are free swimming. So they have tentacles for the locomotion. You must memorize they have tentacles for locomotion. Next, further examples of the coelentrates which are included in the NCERT are: first is Physalia. Physalia is also known as the Portuguese man of the war. It is polymorphic in nature. In NCERT, it is given Portuguese man of the war. So the MCQ can come from both ways. What is Physalia? You have to tell whether it is a Portuguese man of the war, seaman, mushroom coral, or the brain collar. Or it may come in the form that identify the Portuguese man of the war, or the Portuguese man of war is included under which phylum. So you have to memorize both the names of the examples. Next is the Metridium. This is known as the sea anemone or Adamsia. Sea anemone or Adamsia. Metridium. Next is the Gorgonia. It is also known as Gorgonin, which is known as sea fan. Next is Pentula. Pentula is known as sea pen or sea father. Next is Fungia, known as the mushroom coral. Next is Meandryma, known as brain coral. So these are the examples from the NCERT which are very important MCQs regarding the NEET point of view, and you must memorize both the names of the organisms to clear that MCQ. Next is excretion. Excretion is the mode of excretion is ammonotelic, that is they excrete ammonia in their waste. Now, the corals have the skeleton composed of the calcium carbonate. These are few extra points which are not included in the NCERT, but these are much important regarding the NEET point of view. So one must know these points. Corals have the skeleton composed of calcium carbonate. That is, the skeleton of the corals is composed of the calcium carbonate. It has the external fertilization plus the indirect development. The fertilization takes place by the external method and the development takes place by the indirect method. This is the diagrammatic view of a simple nidoblast. Now coming to the NCERT diagrams of the coelentrates. First diagram is of Hydra. They have the tentacles which are for the locomotion. They have a mouth. Outer layer is the epidermis, in middle is the mesoglea, and the inner is the gastrodermis. They have a gastrovascular cavity. You can see here. This is their foot. They have the stinging cells of the nidoblast present in the epidermis layer. The nutritive muscular cell is having food vacuole. They have a food vacuole, which next is the body wall of the Hydra. As you can see, this is the nutritive or the muscular cell. These are the glandular cells. This is the pseudopodia for the locomotion. These are the sensory cells present in between. These are the interstitial cells present above, present on the front side. These are the four types of the cells present in the gastrodermis. Gastrodermis is the innermost layer. This is the epidermis, this is the mesoglea, this is the gastrodermis. And the gastrodermis has the four types of cells: the nutritive cells, the sensory cells, the glandular cells, and the pseudopodia. They have the pseudopodia, and here are the interstitial cells. Mesoglea have the nerve cells. Now, the four types of cells are also present in the epidermis. These are the epitheliomuscular cell, these are the interstitial cells, these are the nematoblast, and these are the sensory cells. Nematoblast is a very important MCQ of the NEET exam. You must know the name of the cell present in the epidermis, which is known as the nematoblast, and it is the cell present in the coelentrates, in the body wall of the Hydra. Next is the diagram of the nidoblast. But this simplified diagram is very important. They have an operculum. The mouth of the nidoblast is known as the operculum. They have a nidocell. These are the spines. They have a stylet. This is the shaft. This is the nucleus present. This is the undischarged nidoblast, and this is the discharged nidoblast. Undischarged nidoblast means the nidoblast which has not discharged undischarged nidoblast means the nidoblast which has not ejected hypnotoxin yet, but the discharged nidoblast means they have discharged the hypnotoxin already. So this is the flagellated thread-like tube, as we have discussed earlier. The thread tube plays an important role in killing foreign particles. We read earlier the nidoblast discharge the thread-like tube which wrap around the prey or an organism, which injects the hypnotoxin in their body and paralyze them. So the thread tube plays an important role in killing foreign particles. So this is it with the coelentrate. This is it with the coelentrates. So here we finish with the phylum Coelentrata. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more updates.